You ever have one of those mornings where you just know, deep down, something wild is about to go down? That was me, standing on my own dock, coffee mug in hand, grinning like a fool at the sunrise bouncing off my private lake. You see, I worked a decade of overtime shifts and cheap meals for this dream. 20 acres of open Texas land, and right in the middle, a sparkling, 5-acre lake that, to me, meant freedom in its purest form. I used to stare out at city concrete wishing for open water. Now here I was, finally living it. So yeah, when I fired up my jet ski that Saturday, I wasn't just making noise. I was flipping the script on every crammed apartment memory I ever had. But, you know how it is. Some people see you happy and just can't stand it. I'd barely made 3 laps before she showed up. Picture this. Woman in a power suit, storming through my gate, yelling into her phone like she's reporting a bank robbery. Didn't even live in our neighborhood, but she acted like the queen of everything she saw. That's Brenda Hollis, president of the Oak Ridge HOA, and if she's got a middle name, it's probably Trouble. Her voice, I swear, could crack concrete. You can't do that. This is a violation of HOA noise ordinances. She's already dialing 911, waving her phone like it's a sheriff's badge. I tried to keep it cool, saying, "Beautiful day for a ride, huh, Brenda?" She wasn't having it. "You're disturbing the peace. I'm calling the police." You ever laugh at the wrong moment and realize you just made everything 10 times worse? Yeah, that was me. She stalked my dock like a Shakespeare villain, and by the end of the day, there was an official HOA letter waiting for me at the kitchen table. $500 fine if I dared take the jet ski out again. 10 years of busting my back so I could enjoy a lake on my own land. And now this woman, who'd been HOA president for what, 6 months? She thought she could tell me what to do. The angrier I got, the more determined I became. I dug through my files until I found the deed, and there it was in black and white. Lake's 100% on my land, not subject to any HOA nonsense. I even owned the mineral rights, in case I ever struck oil under all that water. Next morning, I called the HOA office, thought it'd be a quick fix. But no, the board has made their decision, Mr. Murphy. You can appeal at the next meeting if you wish. Before I could even finish rolling my eyes, Brenda was outside, leaning on my fence, tossing out rules are rules, buddy, like she was a sheriff in the Old West. But that's not the kind of neighborly welcome you hope for in Texas. That afternoon, my best friend, Sophie Turner, marketing whiz and born troublemaker, was over for coffee. Right on cue, Brenda actually climbed over my fence, marching right up and promising to bury me in fines. "I've taken down bigger fish than you," she sneered. Sophie, quick on the draw, started recording. Brenda must have thought her 911 stunt had broken me. Little did she know, that's just when I start to dig in. Twist number 1. The cops actually show up. Not just any cop, either. Deputy Daniel Foster, 6 foot something, cowboy boots, the works. Brenda's waiting at the edge of the property, looking smug. "Morning, deputy. I assume you're here about the dangerous watercraft?" I handed over my deed, calm as I could muster. Foster reads it, slow grin spreading across his face. "Well, looks like you're clear, Mr. Murphy. Enjoy your lake." He gave Brenda a look colder than January. "Ma'am, HOA rules don't supersede property rights. If you keep harassing folks, we might have a real problem." She went purple with rage. But I could tell, she wasn't done. From that moment, Brenda went full villain. Suddenly, my neighbors, folks who used to wave, who brought me pies when I moved in, were ducking behind produce stands to avoid me at the store. Word traveled fast, and Brenda conducted the rumor mill like a symphony. "That's the jet ski guy. He threatened Brenda. Cops had to come." One night, slumped at my kitchen table, I confessed it all to Sophie. She's got everyone convinced I'm some kind of menace. All because I used my own lake. But if you know Sophie, you know she doesn't back down. "Let's see what dirt we can find on our dear Brenda," she said, opening her laptop. And wouldn't you know, Brenda had a history. Fined for falsifying HOA documents, even sued and lost. That was my spark. The next morning, I made a sign, "My lake, my freedom," and hung it right where Brenda would see it. She responded by hand-delivering an emergency HOA meeting notice, vibrating with anticipation. Sophie peeked out the window. She thinks she's got you trapped, but she's setting up her own fall. I could only hope. The meeting was straight out of a movie. Brenda at the head table, board members flanking her like a mob. About 30 neighbors packed in, tension thick enough to cut. Brenda kicked off with shaky phone videos and blurry photos of my jet ski, acting like I was running a criminal syndicate. Then she unveiled her so-called lake expert, some poor guy in an ill-fitting suit who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Dr. Marcus Hollis, her cousin, they couldn't have looked more alike if they tried, claimed my jet ski was destroying the ecosystem. When I asked for his credentials, Brenda snapped. His expertise is beyond question. Right. Then, the big reveal. A threatening letter from Hamilton Sterling and Associates, environmental law specialists. But Sophie did what Sophie does, and discovered the firm didn't exist. It had been shut down for fraud 3 years ago. She dug up mugshots, fake bar numbers, and articles about their past scams. Turns out, Brenda was using a dead law firm's letterhead and her cousin as a fake expert, and was about to bring the whole neighborhood down with her. We dropped that bombshell at the next community meeting, projected every document, and played the audio Sophie had secretly recorded of Brenda ranting on my porch, bragging about running the HOA like her personal kingdom. The crowd went from hostile to stunned in a heartbeat. Even some of Brenda's own board members started shaking their heads. But Brenda wasn't finished. She brought out doctored security footage, trying to paint me as a dangerous neighbor. Sophie, always a step ahead, pulled up the original stock video. Not me, not even my house. The lie collapsed in front of everyone. A board member called for a vote of no confidence. The first cheers started, and Brenda, face red and trembling, threatened to sue me for undermining legitimate HOA authority. Sure enough, 2 days later I was served with a lawsuit. Defamation, emotional distress, conspiracy. But the law firm she used? Another obvious fake. My lawyer, Mike Chun, fresh out of law school but sharp as a tack, tore it apart, pointing out forged signatures, made-up attorney numbers, and the same tactics she'd used before. During the hearing, the judge shut Brenda and her fake lawyer down so fast it made everyone's head spin. The final nail, Clara, my neighbor, testified that she'd overheard Brenda admitting the lawsuit was meant to scare me into settling. The judge hit Brenda with a $5,000 fine, referred her for criminal prosecution, and banned her from ever serving on an HOA board in Texas again. But here's the most cinematic part. We threw a lake party to celebrate, the whole community invited. Jet skis, barbecue, music, the works. Neighbors who'd once believed the worst were now shaking my hand, apologizing, asking if their kids could come swim. I unveiled a carved sign for Freedom Lake, shared by all, and told everyone, "This is my private land, but you're all welcome here, as long as you respect it and each other." As dusk fell, I saw a silver sedan creeping past. Brenda, eyes wide, watching the celebration she'd tried so hard to destroy. That, right there, was the best revenge, not anger, not a lawsuit, but living free and letting the haters fade out of the picture. So let me ask you, if you'd been in my shoes, would you have fought back or just given in? Ever tangled with a bully in a fancy title and come out on top? Drop your thoughts below. Where's the line between community and control, and who really gets to call the shots? If you made it to the end, don't forget to share your story. Let's hear how you define justice, because sometimes standing up for yourself means standing up for everyone.